I used to be a Fujifilm native lens snob. I would only use the first party lenses due to their build quality, their color rendition, and of course, their autofocus. And then I started trying the Voigtlander lenses, and it got me used to the idea that the third party was actually catching up on the Fujifilm X-mount system. But this gave me the itch to try something that wasn't so sterile, that had more of a kind of vintage feel that matched the kind of soul of the Fujifilm cameras. And that takes me to my favorite third-party lens brand, Voigtlander. Voigtlander. Is that how you say it? Before I get into my specific reasons why it's my favorite, I wanted to thank today's video sponsor, Squarespace. I've actually been using Squarespace for over 10 years now. Their templates and easy-to-use interface make it incredibly simple to create and maintain a professional-looking website without any coding experience necessary. My Squarespace website was an essential part of how I built my photography business. It allowed me to showcase my portfolio, share recent work on my blog, and also receive inquiries from potential clients on my contact form. If you're one of those photographers relying on your Instagram profile as a sole place to share your work and build your photography business, I would really consider making a website on Squarespace. You can visit squarespace.com/RJBallsters to start a free trial and get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. So the first Voigtlander lens that I tried was this one, the 50mm 1.2 Nocton. And this was my first introduction to the Voigtlander system. Then after that, I tried this lens, which is the 18mm 2.8 color scope R. And I have that paired specifically with my XM5 to be a very compact setup. This isn't going to be a super in-depth review in terms of the technical performance of these lenses, but mainly my general impressions of how they differ from the Fujifilm native lenses and why I specifically purchased them and use them. The first thing I'm going to talk about is simply that it has a great manual focus feel, and a lot of them actually have a manual focus tab, which helps with the ergonomics for manual focusing. And I'm actually not somebody who is very well practiced at manual focus, so that's why I picked up these lenses so that I don't have to do focus by wire that the Fujifilm native lenses have. We have this focus tab right here, and basically this lets you kind of hold it right here, and then you can use one finger to focus. And this is really nice because they also have the distance markers up here. In general, like, I really love how much smaller these lenses are because they're manual focus. You can really see that with the 50mm 1.2, which is a lot smaller than the 56mm 1.2 just because it doesn't have an autofocus motor to kind of house in there. It's very smooth. I love the feel, very well dampened. And it's just a joy to use, something very different from the quick and silent autofocus from Fujifilm. If you want to try something manual focus, you're not going to get a better feel on the Fujifilm system than these Voigtlander lenses. As far as the build quality goes, the build quality is amazing. They're all metal. They have the very nice sounding aperture click rings right here. Again, the manual focus feels really great, and that's probably the reason why a lot of people get these. The lens hoods that they give are metal, which is super nice. And it's just a nice weight to these lenses. I haven't had any complaints in terms of build quality, and the look of these lenses on Fujifilm cameras, it fits the aesthetics of this retro style, and it looks, in my opinion, a lot better than the Fujifilm lenses on there. Some of these lenses even come in silver. So if you have an XE4, an XM5, or XT50, and you have the silver body, you can match your camera to it, and it looks so good. And that's the main reason why I got this particular 18mm lens over the 18mm f2 of the Fujifilm, because this one came in silver and it's super small, as you can see. I mean, look at that. I don't use sexy very often, but these lenses look very sexy on the Fujifilm system. So as far as the optics go, the optics of these lenses are good. They're decent. I wouldn't say they're as sharp as their Fujifilm LM equivalents. If you're using the 18mm 1.4 on Fujifilm, it's not going to be as sharp as that. If you're using the 56mm 1.2 on Fujifilm, it's not going to be as sharp as that with this 50mm, and I assume the same for all the different variants that they have. In terms of the look, it's more, I would say, of a vintage feel. It doesn't have that sterile look that Fujifilm has with their newer lenses, which if you're looking for something like that on the opposite side, which a lot of people have been trying to emulate film looks, these Voigtlander lenses are perfect for that. They still have decent contrast. On my 18mm 2.8, I'll put a diffusion filter, a mist filter on it to kind of reduce the contrast just a little bit. So take that as you will. On the 50mm 1.2, all these examples have been used without a mist filter. Hopefully you can just kind of see the differences between a diffusion and without the diffusion. One of the advantages that I do like about this system is that a lot of the lenses focus very, very close. The 50mm 1.2 focuses closer than the 56mm 1.2 on Fujifilm. And this lens right here, the 18mm 2.8, focuses closer than the 18mm f2 on Fujifilm. So for me, I'm somebody that really loves close focus and high magnification lenses. I don't really like to use macro lenses, but I'm going to get close to certain objects. I always have a Lego Stormtrooper minifigure test to see the differences of the minimum focus. So you can see these here, how close they can actually get to a Lego minifigure. And I think the main reason why they're so good to close focus is because they're not optimized in the sharpness level. A lot of lenses are limited to the optimized sharpness range, so they'll focus limit it and won't let you venture into that area. Even though the lens still might be able to focus there, they don't want to give you a less sharp image, whereas Voigtlander lenses tend to let you go into that range. So once you get into the really close focus, it gives a very nice soft look, reminiscent of kind of like a vintage look. That's a nice alternative that is not available the Fujifilm native X mount side. The one thing that sets these lenses apart, outside of the other manual focus options within the Fujifilm third-party lineup, is the inclusion of these electrical contacts. Because they have these electrical contacts, it offers a few different advantages that are not there if you, say, adapted some type of manual focus lens, or if you use like a TT Artisans or 7 Artisans lens. Those don't have electrical contacts. What this does is, if I can flip out my screen right here, what it allows you to do is that once you start to focus, it's going to start zooming in so that you can, it helps you focus on where you're going. So if you can see right here, if I stop down that or open up the aperture, it's going to reduce that blue line. And then if you close the aperture, so it's going to show that as well. So for any of you zone focus users, that's going to be very helpful. And then the other thing too is it just shows the aperture. So you're going to get all your XF data. Everything is going to work correctly when you're implementing with other types of accessories, flash, whatnot. These electronic contacts, they automatically enable focus check, transfer the focus distance so you know where you are, as well as the zone focus distance range. And I think that in itself is worthwhile, especially if you want the best manual focus experience combined with how nice the manual focus rings are on these lenses. It gives you the whole package. I would say the biggest negative is probably the cost, right? These lenses, they're super well built, but they cost a lot. They're more expensive than the other third-party manual focus lenses on the market for Fujifilm, just by far. And sometimes they're more expensive than the autofocus versions of Fujifilm. So you have to take that into account in terms of if that's worth it to you. If you're on a budget, I would not recommend these lenses. There's other better options out there if you're on a budget. You might not have an aperture ring, you might not have really great manual focus, but you're gonna get a cheaper lens if that's what you're after. The other thing that these lenses don't have is, as you can see, they don't have any weather sealing, so there's no gasket in the back. For me, this isn't a big issue because I'm in California and I typically don't shoot in inclement weather even when I'm traveling. But if that's a consideration for you, I'm just pointing that out there. So who are these lenses for? Kind of piece this together a little bit, but if you care about cost or maximum performance, don't get these lenses. They are not going to give you a cheap price, nor are they going to give you the maximum optical performance on the Fujifilm system. But if you're looking for something that has a great manual focus experience, something that's probably the best manual focus experience that you can get on the Fujifilm X mount system, even better than their native lenses, or if you're looking for a lens with a more vintage character, something that's really soft, that doesn't have perfect focus. I know it sounds kind of weird to say that, or like has very good character in the bokeh, then I would definitely check out these lenses. The Voigtlander lenses, I would recommend them to everyone, especially if you can deal with these caveats. Highly recommend. Probably my favorite lenses on Fujifilm at this point for photography, and even with video, which is what I use the 18mm 2.8 for video as well. So check out Voigtlander lenses. Hopefully that pronunciation was good. Check out these videos over here if you're looking for more Fujifilm content.